Hey, welcome back, everybody. Sarcasm speaks. Jared and Bob here. First game of a doubleheader again for us on Sunday. So we are right in the middle of, well, at the very beginning of the NFC Championship game, and Detroit just fucking ripped off a touchdown in what, 3 plays, something like
Yeah, I
that.
mean, they got the ball. I came down here to get the tablet set up, and Jameson Williams scored. So,
Yeah, yeah. I think I saw Montgomery run it for like 12 yards. I think there might have been one other play, and then I
well, they
was
did
also
something to
setting
get
up.
to like, yeah, they
At,
they did something to get to like the 50 when he scored.
yeah. So, I'm super interested. So I sent this in our group text, and I also put it out into the Twitter sphere, which if I check, I don't think anybody actually replied to it. No, I'm not surprised. I'm not famous. Um, but I have a question, just like a thought, right? It's not a question for you, right? Because I know neither of us have the information to answer it. But so many people, right, in the public betting sphere were on Baltimore. Whether it was -3, -3.5, -4, -4.5. Um, some books were holding such a liability on Baltimore that the line moved all the way up to 5.5. So the one book in particular that actually put that publicly on Twitter was Circa, which is in Vegas. So they they moved the line to 5.5. So it would be Kansas City plus 5.5, just to try and get people to put money on Kansas City because they were holding that much of a liability on Baltimore. Like if Baltimore had won, like the books would have been absolutely fucking crushed. So I'm just curious, right? Just to put it in the ether, just to throw it out there. What are the statistics for a football team in the playoffs that is a heavy public, darling, right? I hesitate using the word favorite, right? Because they might not be the actual favorite to win the game. Like, I would assume, I don't know off the top of my head, but I would assume Detroit probably got more money in this game. Because they're a 7 point dog, right? So I don't know that. So I'll say public darling, right? Like who the public wants to back. What is their record against the spread in the playoffs? Right. And I know you don't know the answer, and I don't obviously know the answer, but I'd be curious, right? Because I feel like it's probably not good.
So I bet the number's a lot dumber than you think it is. I bet you it's 50-50
I mean, I was gonna say I bet you it's close to 50-50. Like I wouldn't expect like a 70-30 swing, but
because so Dave Mason from Bet Online, he
yeah.
puts out the reports.
Hmm.
So that Chiefs game was on the spread was 60% Baltimore. On the money line was 65% Baltimore, and then 70% on the over. So truthfully, if they were upside down on the spread, they made it back on the over
Right.
or on the total.
Right.
Parlays were a 50-50 split, 69% on Baltimore money line, 79% on the over. Teasers were 58% Kansas City, 81% over. So all those teasers, so everything pretty much lost because the game went under by
Right.
a lot.
Right.
And Baltimore money line didn't cash. So I don't know, but that's the thing though. It's like 65% on Baltimore money line minus 241. I don't know what that number needs to be because the Chiefs were plus money
Yeah.
on the money line. So 35%, that's probably still too low. So they probably did make out on that as well.
Yeah. Um, but that's also just bet online,
Right. And
right?
then for today's game, well, the night game, 52% on San Francisco spread, 63% on Detroit money line, 63% on the over. Parlays are Detroit spread, San Francisco money line, the over. Teasers, San Francisco, and the over.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the couple hard things to figure out. One, at what point is it like is public like really public?
Right.
Because it's only like 54%. That's not really public because of
Correct.
the Jews. So it's like it probably has to get into 60.
I would think so. Yeah. I think that's probably a solid way to go.
But even then, a lot of these games move too. So it's like I know the spread. So the spread probably doesn't matter most of the time. But this game here, it could because it's 7. Um, like if San Francisco wins by 7, people will look at it like, oh wow. Well, I guess technically the public would lose according to Bet Online's figures because San Francisco is favored by 7.5. They didn't win, but plenty of people will have 6.5 on San
Right.
Francisco.
Right.
So it's a tough thing, but I get it. It's like anything in gambling. The numbers are way closer to 50-50 when you look at a grand total. Generally, everything comes back to, but you just need enough games.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, even, because you'd have to get real specific, right? Like, and this is something that potentially, well, I don't even know if a sports query database would do this because they don't take into account like the amount of money that goes into each side, right? Because I've used a sports query database before. That's that like weird language, the
Yeah, SQL.
SQL language. Um, that like you have to go in and like you can set parameters and then the algorithm will spit stuff out at you. Because I've done that before, like a bunch of times. And because you'd have to look like, maybe since you call it the last 10 years, right? And then you'd have to set like in the playoffs, a team against the spread that has more than 60% of the money, right? And like, how do they do? Like, you'd have to get specific with it. Um,
Yeah, and then even with it, the other thing that these sports books can do as well is they may have wanted Kansas City money at 5.5 because they may have had a large liability on Ravens futures.
True.
So you'll never. So this is so unfortunately the problem with your question, you'll never know the answer.
Right.
No one can answer that
Right.
because what Pinnacle has for public money versus Chris versus Circa, Westgate, the Superbook.
Yeah.
Then you go to all of like the American, because those are like, so that like we had like the two like big offshores. Then you've got the Vegas sports books. Then you have
Right.
what would be like the American regulated sports books.
Right.
You never know what the hell each one is going to do. And even then, like, say Pinnacle's upside down on or okay, who was it? Circa
Circa.
got it up to 5.5.
Yeah.
Someone might have walked in and been like, "What's the limit on Baltimore?"
Yeah.
And they're like, 100K." He goes, "Give it to me."
Yeah.
So they put it at 5.5. Someone comes in and goes, "All right, give me 25 on 5.5." Comes down to 5. Like
Right. Right.
sometimes that's what you're doing too.
Yeah.
But like if Pinnacle was sitting there with like unable to stop writing Chiefs, 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 too hard to figure out because I've
Right.
tried this before, and that's the thing. I've tried to play the public and using figures, whether it was some of the stuff that was posted on Twitter from the actual books, whether it was Vegas Insider, and the numbers you needed to like to figure out the public side. It wasn't so easy as just figuring out the ticket count.
Right.
You needed to know like it really really had to be ticket count, narratives, what do people think of this team, what's everyone saying. You needed to like in order to find like a real true like public crazy play, it needed to be something like that.
Yeah.
like Pittsburgh, New England over when they played. It was the Thursday night game.
Yep.
And that was something like all the tickets were on the over. The line was like moving that way. And you heard it, you knew it. Obviously, this is the local team. They can't score. They won't be able to put any points on the board. Pittsburgh doesn't have their quarterback. They're not going to be able to score. Both defenses are good, which I don't think was true. I don't think the Steelers were very good.
No.
And it's like, oh, this game's gonna go under. Short week, gonna go under, gonna go under, gonna go under. Well, I just added 6 points, which is what the teaser would be, and I went over.
Yeah.
And that hit.
Yeah.
And that's like a true public side, not just 60% on one end, right?
Right. Right.
The other thing too is like when we actually get to the Super Bowl, so like say it is Niners Chiefs. Even if the bet count is like 62% one way, there is no public play on a side or a total because there's so many props
Oh yeah.
and so much shit to bet.
Well, the Super Bowl is a bad it's a bad example for trying to get public sides, right?
Yeah,
Because
but
the
theoretically, the
Super
championship,
Bowl is the number one most bet on event of the entire year. Like
yeah,
people that don't bet on the Super Bowl.
but championship week is second worst then.
Yeah.
And especially in football because it's only one game. So there are people like, dude, there were people at the gym that opened up accounts last weekend for the divisional game. Like
Yeah.
they bet the divisional game, they'll bet this game, they might bet the Super Bowl and cash out.
Yeah.
So that's why I actually like, so, and this is for anyone listening, shout out to, well, Ian Mack. He is always good on divisional weekends. Forget how his bets went this year, but between him and Sammy P, they're usually quite good on divisional weekend. And I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I fucking cleaned up. Ian Mack might not have done so good because he included some prop bets and stuff.
He did better he crushed it wild card weekend because we both did. I did very well wild card weekend and so did he, and then he
Yeah.
didn't do well in the divisional round.
Right. So I think it's like one of those things like you can clean up like wild card weekend because there's still some games and it's not as tight. Like the lines aren't as tight. I'll tell you right fucking now, if you are a tournament person, have some money in your account, follow Chicken X Dinner on Twitter, listen to the podcasts, whatever. Sammy P fucking lights up the first 4 days of March Madness. And then after that, he barely plays.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like the more you play and the less teams are around, the tighter everything gets, which is interesting because then the more people bet, the tighter everything gets.
Right. Right.
And that's why like everyone always asks me, it's like, oh, what do you like in the Super Bowl? What do you like in the Super Bowl? Like, I don't know.
Woof.
Yeah, they suck.
Wide right. Nick is not happy right now. Shout out to Nick.
I was gonna say if you hear a fucking TV going out the window in North Attleboro, you know who it was.
He lives on a main road, but luckily it's not busy at nighttime. Otherwise, it might be a run in the middle of the road scenario too.
I should have been driving there.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, one other thing before we move on from football though, too, is you know, love him or hate him. I think Pat Mahomes is that dude, right? Like he is the next generation Tom Brady. It doesn't matter who he's throwing to, because he will figure out a way to win the game, right? Like he's just that good. He like it's Tom Brady in the second half of his career, really, post 2007, or I guess you could say 2008, since that's what he didn't play. So post 2008, Tom Brady was that dude, right? Like it didn't matter who he was throwing to, like he was going to find ways to win the game, right? Like whether he was throwing to Edelman and yeah, Vinny will tell you he's a Hall of Famer. He has great playoff stats. Like people in New England love Edelman, But at the end of the day, he's not that good of a wide receiver, right? Like he wasn't better than Welker.
I was gonna say you want to piss off New England people. Welker was better.
Yeah, Wes Welker is better than Julian Edelman.
Mhm.
Like that is a fact. Um, yeah, Edelman made the catch in the Super Bowl and Welker didn't. Okay, that's the defining moment for people in New England. They're like, oh no, Edelman, he's a Hall of Famer. No, he's not. And he wasn't better than Welker. So and he was throwing to Amendola, Chris Hogan, all these guys, Brandon LaFell, right? Like just fucking trash. And yeah, he had Gronk at the time, but Mahomes has Kelsey, right? So they have their one prolific tight end target, and then everything else kind of is like mediocre at best. But it doesn't matter because at every turn, people count him out and they don't want to see him win, and he still fucking wins. So, he's not quite Brady yet. Um, that's another thing that aggravates me is people are like, oh nope, Mahomes is better than Brady already. He's the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. Talk to me in like 7 years, right? Like at the end, I'm not saying this just because I'm a Patriots fan and a Tom Brady fan, but let's judge them when their careers are over, right? Like you have no idea. I mean,
Or he can
not
get seven. It's see, this is the thing. It's like because it used to be Brady
right,
Montana,
right.
and then it was like, all right, well, Brady got four, but he lost two
Two,
to get there.
yeah.
Well, Montana didn't lose any. Okay,
Then
so then
Brady gets
Brady got
five.
five, and then
Yeah,
people were like, okay, well, five is more than four.
yeah, yeah.
Then he got six.
Right,
It was just kind of over. So it's like that's the thing with Pat Mahomes. You have two,
right,
and like I don't give a shit that you've lost one.
right.
You got two right now.
Yeah, you got to get to seven.
You got to get if you want to be better than Brady, you got to get to seven.
Because that's the situation where if he ties Brady, if they both end with seven, you can say
Then you
Mahomes is
can
better.
because you
Because
can look at
because then
stats
then you look at stats and then you look at physical like capabilities.
or like how many AFC championship games did you go to?
Right, right.
Like
You can
because
look at the secondary
yeah,
statistics.
you can come down once the most important thing. Because that's the thing is like no
Right,
one says it's Peyton Manning or Drew Brees who statistically are better because they don't have the rings.
right, right,
And it's like people I like I don't get it. Like people it's very easy to determine who's the best all time at something. And in our sports, we have this answer because Michael Jordan not only won, I know Bill Russell had like 13 or whatever the fuck,
yeah,
but like Michael Jordan was 6-0 in finals and he was a top three scorer of all time.
right,
Yeah, that pretty much kind of settles it.
right,
Like Bill Russell wasn't a top three scorer.
right.
Um, Wayne Gretzky, he's got the cups and he's got the numbers.
Yeah, he's got his
Like,
numbers are never even going to be sniffed.
no, like he's got crazy numbers.
Yeah, he's got
Stupid,
video game numbers.
stupid.
Yeah,
Um, baseball, I don't know, man. Like I don't know where you want to go with. I don't really want to go there because we have a hit king, a home run king. Like
yeah,
pitching's a completely different beast. Closer, like
right, right.
you really can't have a best baseball player of all time. It doesn't really work.
Yeah,
Like Rivera is probably the best closer of all time. I don't know who the best pitcher of all time is. Uh, the home run king is Barry Bonds. Oh, he was juiced up. Then I don't know what to tell you, man, because
right,
he's number one.
right. Pete Rose has more hits than
He
anybody
has more
else.
hits than anybody. Oh well, he gambled on what he still hit the ball.
Right.
Like
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Baseball's a tough one.
Baseball's tougher. Tiger Woods, now it gets a little difficult because he doesn't have any majors as Jack, but
Right,
he does have some things that allow you to make an argument that he was a better player than Jack.
right,
He has more wins, he has more streaks, he has more dominance in a manner of time.
right.
Well, he didn't win 18. All right, man, if that's all you think about, then sure.
Yeah,
He didn't win 18.
right.
I mean, he won that US Open by 18. 15, but like whatever.
Yeah, yeah. And it could be a situation, it could be a similar situation with Mahomes and Brady, right? If Mahomes ends with 6, but he shatters all of the he puts up Wayne Gretzky numbers, right? If he ends
Ugh.
with Wayne Gretzky numbers and only has 6 rings, he's better than Brady.
And
Like
that's fine,
you
but
can say that.
we better be clear on what Wayne Gretzky numbers are.
Well, yeah, that's a
Because
little
if we're gonna,
far
if I would say,
because he's not going to do that. But
because if we're
no
gonna,
one is ever going to do
if we're
that.
gonna relate that to the quarterback position,
Yeah. Well, because
uh,
right now Brady has the most rings and he also has the most yards, the most touchdowns. You know what I mean? Like Brady
yeah. So
is
in a
top in all
season,
of it.
if like to have a Wayne Gretzky season, I think Mahomes would have to throw
Like
for
6,000 yards.
probably more. He would probably have to throw for.
75 touchdowns.
I was thinking 65 or 70 touchdowns in the season,
Yeah.
probably like 4 picks, and he would probably have to throw for at least 6,200 yards.
Yeah.
I almost said you almost need to double up, but I mean that's crazy
Yeah.
because there's no equivalent for this. But the like Gretzky's crazy year, I think it was 1985. If you took away every single one of his goals, he still would have won the points race.
Yeah.
And I forget how many goals he scored that year. It wasn't a few.
Yeah. It's probably like 87.
I don't think it
Probably
was.
like
Did he have
87
92
goals
one
and
year?
like 120 assists
It
or
was like
something.
160 assists.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't, well, yeah, he might have had like 60 something goals.
Yeah.
It was fucking crazy.
So yeah, I always take Gretzky out of it, but like say Mahomes breaks all of Brady's records, but he only gets 6 rings.
Yeah, then
You
you
can
can at
say
least
he's better.
argue it.
You can
You
say
can
he's
argue
better,
it.
right?
And even I would actually even because I don't hold Super Bowl losses against a quarterback's like I
Yeah, I
guess
don't either.
legacy
I don't either.
because it
I
means you
think in
got
the
there.
case of Brady, it's more impressive because he went to 9. He played 22 years and he went to 9 Super Bowls. That's almost 50%. 10. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he was 6-3 just with New England.
Yeah.
Um,
So he went to a Super Bowl in probably like 47% of the years of his career. That's absurd.
yeah, and like all those division titles and all those AFC championships, like I don't know. I mean, I think that stuff matters.
Right. Wow. The Lions are not fucking around.
Yeah, it's tough because I'm on the Niners, but everyone's been like, ah, well, Niners in a blowout. It's like, oh god damn it.
So I took Chiefs 4 plus 4.5, and I have the Lions +7. Remember, I took it. I think we were on the podcast when I took the Lions like last Sunday night. I was like, I'm taking the 7 points before it moves. But it
Yeah, I
didn't
want to
move.
say,
It moved the other way. It got to 7.5 at some places.
yeah,
I thought for sure it was going to get down to 6.5 or 6.
yeah.
So anyway, um, that's sports talk. What else? Well, kind of in the same vein of sports, I suppose. Um, Netflix, right? This is big for us. We're big Netflix guys. It's all cyclical, right? It all comes back to the same spot in the end. Um, Netflix spent $5 billion with a B for the exclusive rights deal for the WWE. But it's a weird situation. So Netflix, again, $5 billion to TKO Holdings, which is the parent company for the WWE and the UFC. For anyone out there that forgot, people forget those two companies merged like last year or the year before. So TKO is the parent company of both of those. So Netflix has the exclusive rights for WWE Raw in the United States. So only in the US you'll be able to watch WWE Raw, which I believe is still on Monday nights. I mean, it was Monday Night Raw. Like that's what it's just been forever. That's what it was when I was watching and when we were watching.
I believe it is.
Because I know SmackDown has moved. Like I think when we were watching, it was on Thursday nights. I think it did a quick stint on like a Wednesday, and now it might be Friday or Saturday night or something. I don't know, but SmackDown has moved around a little bit. But Raw has consistently always been Monday nights. So you'll now be able to watch that live exclusively on Netflix starting in 2025. So January 2025. And it's a 10-year deal. So where it gets weird is it must have to do with the rights, and good for the WWE for splitting up their rights between their two um, programs, right? Whether it's Raw and SmackDown, and make as much money as you can, right? Because remember SmackDown used to be on UPN. Remember that UPN 38?
Yep.
Um, so I don't know who holds that now, but outside of the United States, everything WWE is going to be on Netflix, right? So even pay-per-view events are going to be on Netflix outside of the US. So inside of the US, it's just Raw. And then you still watch SmackDown however you watch it, and then you still have to go through the pay-per-view channel for all the pay-per-views. Um,
I'm guessing WWE Network is like dead in the water.
I would imagine
Because
so.
wasn't that a thing for a while?
I think it died a long time ago
Yeah.
because Peacock held the rights to WWE. Because I remember after, like, right when the baby was born, and I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I had Jones's. I still have Jones's Peacock. Shout out to Jones. But I was watching WWE. I was watching all the old WWE stuff on Peacock at like 3 a.m.
Uh,
So I would imagine that's all going to come off Peacock.
well, no, because they only own
Oh, they only
they
own
only have the
Raw. Yeah,
rights for
that's
Raw.
true. That's true. So maybe the archive will continue to live on Peacock, but the Raw stuff will move to, I don't know. I have no idea. But it's a weird deal in that way. Um, but yeah, man, $5 billion.
So if they keep increasing their costs but don't increase their subscribers, how are they going to make any money?
Yeah. Well, they're making money now. Or didn't we did that a few
That
weeks
was
ago, a couple months ago?
yeah,
They're crushing it. They actually are making profit now. And they're
yeah,
going to
but they
bring in
also
more
but
subscribers. I mean, I know we are not in the demo of WWE anymore, but
no,
WWE still has a huge demo that will probably migrate to Netflix.
I would say plus Raw's the good episode or the good
Right.
show, so people are going to want to watch that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do
Yeah,
you
it is
know
odd though.
you might not know. Do they still do the split cast?
I don't know.
Yeah. Because I remember they did that for a while. That was like right around the time I stopped watching. That was probably like
Draft.
07, 08, maybe. Um,
It was definitely still a split show. I wasn't really watching then.
because they split, like, yeah, they did the draft and they split the roster, so like only certain guys would be on Raw. Like if you wanted to watch The Rock, like he was only on SmackDown, and like Stone Cold was only on Raw, and they never like crossed over or whatever. And I was like, that again, that was right around the time I stopped watching anyway, but I thought that was pretty dumb.
Yeah, and then they had different title belts. So at the pay-per-views, you could have like crossover, but it couldn't be a title match because you couldn't unless each title was gonna move.
Right.
So it's like you it was dumb because it's like, oh well, we have a crossover and it's for we have a crossover for the Intercontinental and a crossover for the US. It's like, all right, well, either both title holders are going to win or both title holders are going to lose and they're going to switch shows.
Right. Right.
And then, like, yeah, occasionally it could be like, oh, well, oh my God, both titles are on SmackDown now. It's like, and then it's like someone from Raw's music shows up. It's like, oh my God, but by God.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, like it kind of got weird. Like, because I obviously it's scripted and
Right.
you can like potentially foresee certain storylines, but like especially when like the titles belong to a show and then you try to cross them, and it's like, all right, man, like if Raw loses the US championship and doesn't have a second level championship, they're either getting it back or they're getting the other one back. Like
Right.
they're gonna have something.
Right. Right. Yeah, they're
So
not
I
just
don't
gonna
know.
like strip a show of second level
No,
titles.
I mean unless you plan on introducing a new title, but then it's like that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
many titles are you gonna have?
Right.
Uh,
So
Whatever.
yeah, I mean, good for Netflix, I guess. They'll probably continue to fucking crush it, I suppose. But
I was gonna say
um
someone smarter than me will have to like outline how the economics of that works. If you pay 5 billion and people are like, are you really gonna get that many more subscriptions, or is there something else I'm missing? But whatever.
yeah.
We've done the.
Because the
I just don't
Netflix
get
is
it.
is definitely trying to get into the sports world, right? They did the Drive to Survive first, right? The F1 stuff. And then they did like a spin-off similar, however you want to call it, with the PGA, right? With Full Swing. Um, then they tried their first live event, the Netflix Cup that we talked about that was just bad. I didn't finish it. I watched like the first like 15, 20 minutes of it and was like, this is just bad. Um, so it was a big swing and a miss on the Netflix Cup thing that they did, but Full Swing and Drive to Survive were hugely popular, and I think they're going to do one now for NASCAR.
Tell you right now, it would actually be a little crazy, but Netflix could get a pretty good deal on it. They should get the viewing rights to live
Yeah, that would be a good move.
and accept and understand. And actually, you could almost dictate if you're Netflix. Like, well, listen, we'll give you money. Like, we don't give a fuck,
Yeah,
but we want X amount of tournaments and we want them in these countries.
right,
And then that way, Live gets a global product, Netflix gets a global audience,
right.
and then Live Golf gets the exposure that it probably deserves.
Yeah, that would be a really good move.
Now, I say that, but there's way more users on YouTube than there are Netflix, I assume,
Yeah,
especially because YouTube's free.
right.
And that still didn't land. So I don't know what exactly you would have to do on that front. Like I said, someone else would have. It's like someone smarter than me, like actually in media, would have to like hash out the details.
Right.
But I'm telling you right now, if Live puts an event, they talk about like a 14 event schedule. Say 4 in the US, that leaves 10. One's obviously in Saudi Arabia, that leaves 9. So from there, if you go South America, Australia, Japan, even China, that's 4. I got 5 left.
Yep.
England, Spain, I got 3 left. Um, am I missing like a big global market that I'm not
I mean,
remembering?
France and Germany, but
England's close enough to France, and golf just isn't big enough in Germany.
yeah. Oh, what do you mean, Thomas Dietrich? Bernhard Langer.
I was gonna say, is he even German?
I think so.
I thought he
Or
was like
maybe he's
Belgian.
Belgian.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought he
Yeah.
was Belgian.
Their flags are similar because I'm used to seeing like the flag after their name.
Yeah, Stefan Jaeger,
Yeah.
um, Alex Chaka. It would have to work out somehow that the markets work because there is a market for professional golf in those countries or regions. Because I know South America. I don't know which country you pick in South America. Truly, I have no fucking idea.
I mean, yeah, you could either Chile or Argentina, probably.
Or Brazil. Like I know, like Brazil's obviously the biggest, right?
Right.
I don't know how big golf is. Whatever. I don't
Yeah,
know. And then
I don't think golf is big in Brazil, but I know
plus, like, there's
it's
a weird
bigger
thing in
in
yeah, and there's a
Argentina
weird
and
thing in
Chile.
South America, like with Brazil not being a Spanish speaking country, and frankly, I don't know if any of them like them. So,
Yeah,
because I say South America, I am thinking like the Spanish speaking countries.
right.
Um,
Well, because
that would
I'm
be
thinking too, you
interesting.
have Angel Cabrera is from Argentina and
Yep,
just got fresh out of jail.
great guy.
Isn't Olazabal? No, Olazabal Spain.
Spain,
There was someone else from Argentina that was big too, wasn't he?
DiVincenzo. Like, you talking like back in the day or currently?
I thought it was back in the day,
Robert
but
DiVincenzo.
yeah, it could have been.
He won something.
But I
He also
know
lost something. I think he lost the
Chile
Masters.
is big now too, just because of Mito and Joaquin.
Yeah, man. I mean, like Grillo is
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's who it
Argentinian.
is. Yeah, Grillo. That's who it is. That's the Argentinian that I was thinking
Uh,
of.
Munoz is something.
Colombia or either Colombia or Venezuela, I feel like
And then I
has a
think
bunch
Johnny
too.
Vegas is from the country that Munoz is not from.
Yeah.
Munoz is probably Colombian.
You've got what is Camilo Villegas? Is he Spain too?
No, I want to say he's South America.
He's somewhere in South America.
I'm missing a guy. Oh, Ortiz is from Mexico. Carlos Ortiz.
Yep. Abraham Answer was Mexico.
Yeah. Mexico, South America. Same thing.
Yeah. It's south of
It
America.
is South of America. Thus, South America. Yeah, I think it would be interesting, but again, I don't know. Like, because I think also the measuring stick has got to stop being U.S. markets because it's so stupid over here
Yeah.
that all the viewership was only this. It's like, yeah, it's because you people are idiots.
Yeah,
I don't know.
because the old white guy, right, is oh, it's blood money, right? It's like, but
Yeah,
that's in
it's
this
not even
country,
that.
like
It's not even old.
that's the bulk of who watches golf, right? But like for the rest of the world, people don't give a fuck, right? Like in Chile, people would
They do
I
not
bet
care.
you in Chile people would rather watch Live because they get to watch Mito
They are people.
and yeah, they get to watch Mito and Joaquin. Like I guarantee you Live is more popular in Chile than the PGA Tour, right? And I bet you in Spain now moving forward, Live is more popular than the PGA Tour
It probably got to be close to
because you got
because
Sergio and John
and
Rahm,
Rom, and then the young kid Puig,
right?
which he's not. Again, he's not the name, but he is a
Right,
young Spaniard.
right, right.
Um, yeah, and then like especially with like Australia. Now Australia, I think, is a big enough country where they'll probably still watch more American golf because they're used to it.
Mhm.
But like everyone was saying how good that event was when Liv went there last
Yeah,
year,
yeah,
and they've got Cam Smith. Like the Australians left on the
yeah. But
PGA
the
Tour.
PGA has Adam Scott.
Yeah, they do.
He's got a beautiful swing. People
People
forget.
forget. Yeah, and like there's Jason Day too,
Yeah,
but those guys really haven't threatened a whole lot in a long time.
right.
Then the other guy, Herbert, he's rumored to have gone.
Lucas Herbert. Is that
Yeah,
yeah.
he's younger. I don't know. Whatever.
The most funny Australian in Minwoo Lee.
Oh, that's right. He's on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, he's a
If
PGA
they
guy.
got him, fuck, it would be
Oh yeah.
that would be something.
Yeah.
I also think there's ways to do it too, where you could make the insufferable golf fan so fucking angry so fucking easily. Um, Somehow Liv gets the rights to the Australian Open and hosts at Royal Melbourne every year. And then all the fucking architecture people, they would be like, the meme with the guy like the crying face with the happy
Yeah.
face over. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what every single person would be because everyone talks about that course like it's the best course in the world. Sandbelt, best course. Yeah, it's the best course ever.
Yeah.
Royal Melbourne. Like, oh, this reminds me of Royal Melbourne. I remember every hole at Royal Melbourne. Remember every shot the one time I played there. It's the best place ever. There's no golf course better than Royal Melbourne. Maybe the old course, except when the pros play there, in which case pros bad. Um, that would get some fucking eyeballs on the event.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I don't know how you obtain such a thing, but that's for someone else to figure out, not me.
Yeah, exactly. Um, all right. I got one more thing here before we wrap things up for episode 1 and move into the Return of the Sith. So a while ago, we talked about it, right? It was big news. The state of Oregon, right, did their whole thing where they decriminalized all drugs. Might have been about a year ago, maybe a little bit more than a year ago at this point. And we both, I think, sat here, right, if I remember correctly, and was like, yeah, sure, why not? Right? Like, who gives a fuck? Right? Like, it's
I mean,
let people.
I said I don't understand it, like decriminalizing all drugs.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's some drugs that, maybe they're criminalized
Might
for a reason.
might want to criminalize them.
Yeah, like heroin, fentanyl,
You would
probably,
think.
but whatever. Um, but I mean, for the most part, right? Like I kind of take a look at it as like a educate people to the best of your ability and their ability, understanding, however you want to say it, and then kind of like let them make their own choices. Um, and then kind of go from there, right? So like, yeah, I'm kind of like stuck in the middle, I guess, in purgatory when it comes to all that stuff. But regardless, um, so Oregon, oh, they did that in 2020. Wow. Okay, so that was like 4 years ago. Maybe they passed the law in 2020 and it went into effect in 2021 or 2022. I don't know. We've been doing this show a long time. So Oregon became the first state in the country to decriminalize small possession of all drugs, including heroin and cocaine, in 2020. Since then, residents have been demanding for politicians to take action on what they now call open air drug markets that have surfaced and fueled a massive homelessness crisis
How do you
throughout
think
the
that
state.
happens?
Would you say?
How do you think that happens?
Oh, yeah, I have no idea.
I don't get it.
Yeah. You mean people that do drugs were just not capable of, you know, holding a job and a home and ended up homeless?
Plus, you made them legal, so what were people gonna do?
Yeah.
Not use them?
Yeah.
Because when they were illegal, people were using them. Then you made them legal. Were people
Well,
supposed to stop using them?
technically decriminalized, but yeah.
Whatever. That's legal. No, because I like again, like legal fucking semantics aside, if it's not punishable by law, then it's legal.
Fair enough.
That's again, it's because it's semantics. It's like no, it's not legal. It's decriminalized. So if there's no penalty, then it's legal. Like if there's no cop around and I drive through a stop sign, it's not fucking illegal because they like if for in order for it to be illegal, I need to get a citation.
Right.
Again,
Yeah, I
arguing
mean,
that, but that's arguing semantics.
yeah, like technically you can get cited and you can have to pay fines if you're in possession. But I think the whole thing is you just can't go to jail.
Oh,
That's decriminalized. So like if they find you with fucking, you know, 10 pounds of heroin, right? Like they can certainly, well, at that point they can probably
yeah, I
charge you
was
with
say, can't they
intent to
hit you for
distribute.
distribution?
Um, but like if they found you with more than just a baggie of heroin, like they can probably fucking come at you pretty hard with like fines and stuff that you just won't go to jail.
I was gonna say, but the types of people we're talking, you can't find homeless drug addicts.
Right. Oh no, I understand that. So it's like
Like,
it's a catch 22.
yeah, it's I guess so. Yeah, maybe
You're
it's
gonna
hard to
find
understand.
you're gonna not put someone in jail, but you're gonna find someone that doesn't have a job, doesn't have a home, and doesn't
Doesn't
have
have
money
money. Like, you
to
can't find
pay.
them anything. What are you gonna
Yeah.
do? Take their home? You know, take their tent? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're gonna repo their sidewalk? Like,
Yeah. Like they don't give a shit about their credit score. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, if I have this unpaid bill from the federal government for a misdemeanor charge that I
yeah.
can't pay, my credit score. They don't give a fuck. They don't have a job. They don't have a home. They just do drugs all day. So at this point, this is where it gets interesting, and I think it's funny. Democratic lawmakers in the state have unveiled a new bill that would recriminalize the possession of small amounts of drugs as a low level misdemeanor. So things have gotten so bad in the state of Oregon that the Democrats were the ones that put this bill together to recriminalize small amounts of drugs.
So my only thing, are you gonna actually arrest anybody for this shit? Or is it still gonna be more of the same?
Well, I mean, if it becomes a misdemeanor, like you can be arrested for a misdemeanor.
Right. Now, are they going to? Because Oregon's also at like an all cops are bad place too.
Right.
Never mind. Okay, so like I appreciate the sentiment, like because I mean, like, defying L's, like this is a fucking layup.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna decriminal. Like, it was like the same thing with like what was
We're
it,
going to
Minneapolis?
defund police and we're
Yeah,
going
we're
to
gonna defund the
decriminalize all
police
drugs. It's effectively anarchy.
because in
Like,
Minneapolis, wasn't it like we're gonna defund the police, but then the crime was so bad that they needed to like give the police more money than they did before.
yes, that's what happened. Yeah. In a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
so if I just like, yeah, so I do accept that, but like moving beyond it, I'm like, if you don't actually arrest these people, then effectively it is still decriminalized.
Right.
Like, even though drugs are still illegal in Massachusetts, by action they are decriminalized on Mass Ave because there's no action being taken on those people.
Right.
Now I
Right.
understand, I don't want to fucking hear it. It's like, well, you can't arrest them all. There's not enough places, not enough resources. They need help, whatever. I'm just saying that by your actions, effectively, you have decriminalized drugs on Mass Ave specifically because you allow it to happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
So
So
I don't see
right now,
even
I
in
have
Oregon, I don't see a recriminalization doing anything.
so I have the details right now. As of this moment, possession of under a gram of heroin is only subject to a ticket and a maximum fine of $100. That's a fucking joke.
It might, like, well, that's the thing. They don't have $100.
Yeah. So this measure will not affect the recent legalization of cannabis and mushrooms. So you can still smoke weed and do shrooms. That's completely legal. But now this misdemeanor of small illegal drugs is punishable by up to 30 days in jail or $1,250, which again, the money doesn't matter because these people don't have money. But you can now go to jail for 30 days. So they
Guess we'll
say
see.
in Oregon, since 2020, the opioid deaths have tripled. So in 2020, there were 280 people that died from opioids. And in 2022, 955 people died, almost 1,000.
It's amazing too because I would love to know what the rationale was for legal or decriminalization. Did they think it would improve anything?
Yeah, I don't think they thought that far ahead, truthfully. I think they because like understanding the way that, these people, when I say these people, I mean like, the uber liberal folks, they look at it like the system is rigged against certain people, right? So they look at it like the system is rigged against people that are homeless and addicted to drugs, that they get caught with drugs, they get thrown in jail, they get out of jail, and it's a vicious cycle. They can't get a job because they were in jail. You know what I mean? Like it's a snowball effect, right? So because again, I think a lot of this is not malintent, right? Like it's the old adage, right, of, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Um, and then I forget what it is. It's something like it's not Occam's razor because that's something different, but there's like something, it's like an Occam's razor or Murphy's law or whatever it is, and it's like never never attribute malice to where incompetence can suffice or something like that. So it's like between those two cliches, right? Like the malice thing and the road to hell. I think these people thought they were doing the right thing by preventing homeless people getting thrown in jail, right? Like they thought they were helping them. Where in reality, we can see now 4 years later, that's not the case, right? Like you were wrong. Like it's very clear that you were wrong, right? And whether or
Yeah.
not you want to admit that you were wrong is fine, because even if you won't admit it, you're now taking the steps to recriminalize and undo what you did 4 years ago. Right. So like even if you throw some like political, speak at me, be like, well, we weren't necessarily wrong. It was because of X, Y, and Z that really we need to do this and that and yada yada. Okay, fine. But the fact of the matter is you're making it a criminal offense again because things got that bad.
And yes, you were wrong.
And yes, you were wrong.
No matter whatever type of political or legal fucking
Right.
argument you want to use.
Right. So I thought that was funny because it's Oregon and they're finally starting to realize that everything they did was fucked up.
Dumbasses.
So, you want to wrap this up
We can wrap
so
this
we
up.
can take a quick break and get back for game two?
So I've been doing some research on Naples golf because Michaela's
Oh,
parents recently obtained a place down that way.
nice.
So yeah, one of
Naples
the
is absolutely fucking gorgeous, by the way.
is it?
Yeah.
We're talking
It's
Florida, right?
yeah, Naples, Florida
Okay.
is
I was say don't.
is
We're not talking Italy.
no, is it's absolutely beautiful. It's also one of those places where like you drive down like the main road like on the waterfront and you see like Ferrari, Aston Martin, Mercedes, BMW.
Yep.
Like it's one of those places where
Yeah.
like
It does.
if you drive an Audi, like you're poor.
It does. It does seem like well, but it also seems like everyone and their mother has a fucking place. So it's like, um, I think, and I could be wrong because I've never actually been there. I think there's a price for almost everybody, not
Well,
the
yeah, it's
homeless,
also Florida, so it's
right?
I mean it's
And depends on
expensive now because everything's expensive, but it's cheap.
yeah, and depending on how far off the beaten path you want to get, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
um, anyway, so looking up some public golf, not looking too hard, but I did find my way to Tiburon. Now, Tiburon's a resort. I think it's at the Ritz Carlton. There are two golf courses there, black and a gold. I could be wrong, but the black has the senior event, the Chubb Classic, and the gold has the women's season ending event. Now, if that's the wrong courses, flip them. Doesn't matter. Um, so I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like they host professional events. Look up tee times. We're talking about four bills around. And I'm like, okay, four bills, huh? got to be like a Golf Digest top 100 you can play, right? Nope. Maybe a Golf Week top 100 you can play. Nope. Someone has to have this. It has to have one of them as a top that you can play.
Yeah.
Nope. Not that I can find so far. I think Golf Digest has a list of like top resorts, but that would include like the facilities, which I wouldn't need. I'm like, okay. So it's in Florida. And generally, Florida doesn't get a lot of props for its golf courses because they're kind of all the same. They're all like flat and long and just water hazards everywhere.
Right.
No, there's a few, like private and public. A few get their due, but even like Bay Hill, like that's PGA Tour stop, and it's generally not regarded as like a highly ranked course.
Right.
Like it's probably top 100 for as far as like Golf Digest goes. And I also know that these lists are not like the end all be all. Like I understand that. But to not show up anywhere seems kind of interesting
When you're
for
charging $400 a round.
and you host professional events.
Yeah.
So I feel like I don't know, I feel like I'm missing something. Now full disclosure. I assume I will be playing on both of these courses and paying the price at some point.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure there's also times you can go later, like twilight or weekday or whatever. Like there's ways to not pay $400. Same thing with like Sawgrass. Like I just saw the other day, it's like, oh, Sawgrass, $900 a round. I'm like, it is not $900 a round.
Yeah.
It just fucking isn't. Now, again, I don't know what circumstances in which it is, but there are circumstances in which it isn't. Anyway, but yeah, I was a little caught off guard with Tiburon because I hear it's got pro events. And I hear it's like $400 around. I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's gotta be somewhere. Like a top in Florida, nope. Top in the country, nope. Top public, nope. Nothing.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I again, like I said, full disclosure, I imagine I'll be getting there at some point
Yeah.
because I have no issues paying $400 around. I'm going to be calculated about where I'm spending my $400 around
Right.
because I've done it before. I'm doing it again, and I will do it again.
Right.
I'm not just looking to spend 400 on on any drop of a whim because usually
Yeah. It's
my
got to be worth
criteria
it.
my criteria usually has to be it has to have some level if I'm going to pay $400 and it's not a private and even a private it has to have some type of significance either to me or to the game of golf if I'm going to kind of like whatever.
Right.
So like Spyglass, Pebble, those are both part of the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. They are both top 100 publics. I think so. Obviously, Pebble hosts U.S. Opens. I think Spyglass is getting a senior U.S. Open at some point. Um, the women had the U.S. Open. Like this thing hosts tournaments, USAMs.
Right.
So it's like
Right.
Spyglass, Pebble. They host tournaments. They have the reputation, and their location is good. So yeah, no problem. Kiowa, that's going to be over $400. Well, that is a Ryder Cup PGA Championship golf course.
Right.
It's also right on the ocean, the conditions, whatever. Like and again, it's up there in the rankings. Again, rankings aren't everything, but it was a little weird not to see Tiburon anywhere.
Yeah. That is strange. Like having it laid out there is kind of weird.
Nothing.
Hmm.
Because usually, even like some places, and I know the golf course architecture, people are such fucking snobs about this, and I fucking hate. Like they're pissing me off so much. Like they already did, and now they're pissing me off even more. But that's the other thing is like they're almost like poo-poo people who like golf courses that are just in like immaculate condition, but might not be super interesting or might not have a lot going on. I'm
Right.
like, so what's the issue if someone's gonna like they're gonna play there because you know what? These are the best conditions that I can get. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna play it because that's what I want. I want to play the nicest place that I can get to. Okay, well that's okay, but like wow, but there's a place that like could have like some chocolate drops by the it's fuck you. Fucking cunts. But anyway, I was a little caught off guard. $400.
Yeah, makes
I was
sense.
kind of thinking I was kind of thinking more in the 250 range.
Yeah,
Now, full disclosure, I was looking in mid-February, so also time of year, I assume, changes the pricing.
probably. Yeah, I think that's probably safe to say. Um, all right. So my final thought is in the latest edition of Why I'm a Fucking Clown. So my company is switching over from a like a hard based service, like server storage, right? Like all of our information was like backed up on like physical servers, right? In London, right? So the company I work for is based out of London. Um so or the headquarters is in London. We're based out of Boston, but our headquarters is in London. So um we're switching from physical servers over to like 100% cloud based. So I had to schedule a time with our IT department it's a company that we outsource that is also based in London. So you got to set up a time typically early in the morning or at least before like 10 a.m. because of the time change. So last Thursday, I set up a time to get my computer migrated over from the old server system that we were using to the new cloud-based server system. So I noticed there was like an issue maybe like a week or two ago that sometimes my keyboard didn't work. Like when I was trying to type in like the search bar, we use Microsoft Surfaces for work. So like the search bar at the bottom, or like if I was trying to log into a Wi-Fi, like you have to type in the Wi-Fi password, like the keyboard wouldn't work. So what I would have to do is like type the password, like if I was on a client site, I would need to get their password, type it in a Word doc, and then copy and paste it into like the connect to this Wi-Fi, and then it get in that way. So like kind of a pain in the ass, but like not really a big deal. So we go to I've set up this call with the guy in London to, switch me over to the new service. And he goes, "All right, you're all set here, right?" And I go, "Yep." And he goes, "All right, so I'm gonna log you out of here and delete this profile." So he deletes my old profile and he's in like administrator status on my laptop. And he goes to set up a new profile and the keyboard's not working. And he's like, "I can't seem to figure this out." And I was like, "Yeah, so I've been having this issue because I'm talking to him on the phone while, this is all going on because he has remote access to my laptop." And I was like, I wasn't sure if it was like the keyboard or what or not, because like my keyboard works just fine, but like I wasn't sure what it was. And he was like, "No, it's not working for me either." So he's like, "It's not your physical keyboard. It's like some sort of software issue that we have going on here." So my appointment was at 10 o'clock with this guy to get everything switched over. Long story short, he couldn't figure out anything. And I got stuck in purgatory, basically, because he deleted my old profile from the old service, right? And he couldn't set up my new service because I couldn't type anything. So I had no laptop. I had a very expensive paperweight for 2.5 hours it took this guy to figure it out. It took until 12:30, which is
Is
5:30
that over
London
there?
time.
Okay.
5:30. Like I'm assuming he was only really supposed to work until 5. So it turns out for another one of our clients, we have a virtual desktop because it's a bank, right? So we have to connect to their VPN and use a virtual desktop, their specific virtual desktop to log in. It's a process, but it's secure because it's a bank, right? So apparently, when that was downloaded to my computer a few weeks ago, it corrupted something on my computer. So they figured out that if they shut that stuff off and they deleted it, then my keyboard started working. So they figured that out. And the actual migration process of like hooking me up to the new server system that we use, the cloud based server, took about 20 minutes. But I was on the phone for 2.5 hours with this guy, this poor guy who was trying everything that he could and he couldn't figure it out. And he got to the point where he was like, I may have to factory reset your computer and then you're going to lose everything because then your computer just kind of like it obviously just goes back to the factory settings. So like it's like brand new out of the box. He's like, I don't know how to fix this. But then finally, in like a last ditch effort, he like found this other thing and he was like, if this doesn't work, I'm gonna have to do it. So I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So it works. He figures that out. And then he goes, all right, so we need to set up some more time to like figure this out tomorrow because then they had to like re-download the VPN and the virtual desktop for this other client. So it took 2.5 hours on Thursday to do something that should have only taken 20 minutes. And then Friday morning at 7:30, I had to log back in and call them and have them remote back into my laptop to re-download everything. And want to guess how long that took?
Might as well just say another 2.5.
Yeah, about an hour and a half, just shy of 2 hours. So it was I was on the phone with them by 7:30. I think I wrapped up right around like 9:15.
Pretty good use of resources.
Yeah, yeah, pretty sick. And obviously through all of that time I couldn't do anything on my computer because Thursday I didn't have a computer and then Friday like they needed remote access so they were doing whatever they were doing. So couldn't do my job for combined like 4 hours on Thursday, Friday. So it was a lot of fun. But again, I was explaining the situation to my boss and he didn't really understand it at first because I was telling him about like my keyboard and he goes, just buy a new one. He goes, just buy a new one and expense it. Like we'll just pay for it. And I was like, yeah, it's not the physical keyboard though, because the guy in London can't type on my laptop either. Like it's not just me. So like it's not just my keyboard, it's his keyboard too. So that means it's not the physical keyboard. It's a software thing.
Do
Um
like that. Just fucking buy another one.
yeah.
Well, if I buy another one, we'll just be in the same position we're in with two laptops as opposed to one.
Right, right.
Maybe if the download corrupted again, but
Yeah, because then he was saying like, well, if the computer's broken, he goes, you might just have to buy a new computer, and like he was like, just go to Best Buy and buy one. He goes and expense that too. Like it, he goes, it might be like $1,200, but like you need a computer, like you need to be able to do your job. So it was like it was just wild. Um, but like I said, luckily they figured it out. But it's just made for a headache on Thursday and Friday last week. But again, this is the type of shit like I tell people, like I told my boss too, and he laughed. And I was like, this is the type of stuff that happens to me all the time. And like, I'm not surprised at all because he did the migration and he was like, I don't understand what the problem is. It took me, I think it took him 25 minutes. And then like another person on our team took them 15 minutes. And I was like, yeah, once they figured out the problem, it only took 20 minutes to migrate over to
that's
the
right. The
cloud
migration
server.
only took that time.
Yeah, yeah,
The problem is we had a different problem,
right.
obviously.
I was like, this is, I tried to explain to him, like, this is just what happens to me all the time. Like, it's just,
You're like the opposite of Archer, where he's like, I don't know, things just kind of work out for me.
yeah, yeah,
I don't know, things just kind of turn into shit for me.
yeah. That's basically what happens all the time. So,
It's almost like anti-Festivus miracles, where seemingly normal occurrences are Festivus miracles.
yeah,
Seemingly normal occurrences are a 5 hour fucking
yeah. 5 hour hassle.
process.
Yeah, yep,
Well, dude,
absolutely.
it's like the computer I'm using right now. It's like I couldn't just buy it once. Nope,
Right,
couldn't do that.
right, right. That's what I mean. Like, we're cursed. We're just assholes. Like, it is what it is, right? Like, it's like I said, to me, it's to be expected. So, well, that's gonna do it for us for right now. So thank you all for watching. If you're on YouTube, make sure you click the subscribe button up above, hit the thumbs up down below, spread the word, tell everybody you know about the show. If you're an audio only listener, subscribe there as well on whatever platform you have. If you're on Spotify or iTunes, I would appreciate it. We would both appreciate it very much if you would leave us a review and give us 5 stars. It helps new people find the show, helps everything grow and be awesome and sunshine and rainbows, unlike my IT experience last week. You can get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod. Twitter is Sarcasm_speaks. Facebook is Sarcasm Speaks. Website sarcasmspeaks.com. Go to the merch store, buy some merch, and then while you're at it, in the show notes below, check out all the sponsors of the show. We've got links and affiliate codes and all that stuff for all your discounts down there. So go support those guys. So that's going to do it for us. So until next time, good night, everybody.